Good afternoon and welcome to my live stream, Fight CPS, with your host, Bob Pace. It's a warm welcome, and I'm glad to have you in my room here. Here we are to talk about a government entity that I call the Child Protection System. It's found in every state and every county. Each state has counties, and within that state, there are many child protection systems. They have different names. Like in my case, I'm in the Orange County um, Child Protection Services. Next door is the Department of Children and Family Services. That's LA County. And I'm broadcasting live from Surf City, USA, south of Los Angeles. And I'm 3 blocks from the ocean. And I'm glad that you found me because here we're going to answer hopefully your concerns and your questions about CPS. Now, this is broadcast around the world. I've talked to over 30 countries, and I've talked to everyone in the United States. Not everyone. I've talked to a representative, one person as CP, one or more people in the 50 states I've talked to. It's close to 2,600 people. And I'm here to help you, but you got to help me. And how you help me is give me your name and either your question or comment so that I can answer and help you. Now, I have a lot of experience doing CPS. I started getting involved with about 2013. I did not know they existed before 2013. And how I got involved, typical thing, knock at the door. Hello, I'm with so and so, and we have a complaint that you're, well, they do a little fishing. They're getting a little bit better. And I invited them in my house because I had nothing to hide. And thing is, I did not know about these rules. Rule number one is don't answer the door. Rule number two, if you do open the door, don't talk to them. And because it may be involve illegal, you got to identify it. Is this regarding a legal matter? Your first words when you meet them, you give introductions. You say, "Hi, I'm so and so. Is this a legal matter?" And if it's a legal matter, you definitely want to end the meeting. You want to say, "I need to have my attorney present." And by law, you can. By law, you can. It's your right to have, through all legal matters, an attorney representing you. If you can't afford one, the courts will appoint you one. And that gets a little tricky too with court-appointed attorneys. So if you never open the door, you don't have to deal with all that. And then usually they'll leave a card or a note, and you can get back to them. Usually that's a red flag if you know who was knocked the door. That's time to get an attorney. Your attorney is the key to solving your case, to getting back your children, not have your children taken. They're going to try to take your child the first meeting. You see, what's happened is that there's a lot of bad or rogue CPS cases. Now, CPS officially got started in 1974. I know in the 60s, there's some talk about the child batter syndrome. There were a lot of reports by doctors of children being battered up, physically abused. And Congress was worried about the protection of our children. So they passed an ordinance that directed social services to create a group of social workers to create an agency to protect our children from neglect and abuse. Now, abuse, for example, can be not feeding the child, not bathing the child, not taking them to school, no supervision, lack of food, lack of shelter. It goes on and on. But the other one is called physical abuse, and physical abuse is further into mental abuse. You know, yelling in front of a child all the time or downplaying a child, that's mental abuse, and that's wrong. You don't want to argue in front of children. That's the worst thing you do to your child because then they got to pick sides. Should I go with mommy? Should I go with daddy? And whatever you do, you should never argue. And if it gets a point to argument, that is a clue that one of you is going to have to say time out. And then the other one has got to join or not join you, but do a timeout also. And what a timeout, we know it with children. We don't do usually a good job with children. And this is the life skill that I'm going to share with you that if you've never done timeout. But timeout, I think, originated with football or other sports where they stop a thing to have people reconsider things and come back and have a better game plan. So when times are escalating into arguments or disagreements, and you start to lock horns or be dead set with your ways, that's the time you want to institute a timeout. Now, as a father, mother to a child, what you do is you usually say, timeout, we need to stop this. I want you to go to your room and come back and talk to me in 10 minutes, or go to your room in 5 minutes, or go to a corner and sit on a chair. But you got to be careful because you don't want to ridicule the child. You don't want to ridicule the child. They used to in school, used to put children on a big, tall chair and give them a dunce cap, and they had to sit in front of the room and be embarrassed further. That's not recommended. A timeout should be a quiet time. I think the best timeout to tell a child, because you don't want them to go off for a walk or anything because it isn't safe out there. Go to your room, come back in 10 minutes, think about what transpired, and I want you to talk to me. A lot of times parents say, time out, go there in a corner, and then when it's over, there's no further communication. Well, the child forgets why they're doing the timeout, and that's a waste of time. Now, as adults, whether you're at home, arguing with your spouse or somebody else, or at your workplace, a lot of arguments go there. A timeout is simple. You just say, I got to take a timeout. I got to think about what's transpiring. We're getting hot and heavy. I'm going for a walk down the beach. The other person can do a timeout, go somewhere else, maybe walk down further to another beach, or walk to a park or something like that, if it's safe to do so. Sometimes if you have a two-story house, one parent go upstairs, the other one is downstairs, and then we'll take 10 minutes and think about what's transpired and then come back and talk again. That's a real simple way. But if you constantly argue with your spouse in front of the children, you'll be taken away for mental abuse because it's harmful. It's harmful to the child. The child has mixed signals. They love their mother and daddy. They love their mother and daddy from birth. I wish CPS workers would take a timeout or policemen would do a timeout because so many times people get hot heavy and they do wrong things. They do wrong things out of anger and frustration. And that's not right. That's not right. So, timeouts are good things. And it's a lot better than taking a whip or a belt or a stick, even a spoon, a wooden spoon. It's going to leave welts. That is physical abuse. Also, hitting a child, the back of your hand or a fist is wrong too. That'll injure a child. Shaking a child is wrong, whether they're infant or whether they're, older. Never shake somebody. Because damage will be gone to the brain. Never pick up a child and throw it against the wall. You probably hear me, that's ridiculous, but parents do that. Those are forms of physical abuse. Now, there's two kinds of reporters that report that. One is the professional reporter, which is either like a doctor or a nurse, or a teacher, or administrator, or counselor, or even the nurse. Then there's the caregiver in a daycare place, the policeman and the fireman. All those people are called professionals, and they're required by law to report suspected negligence or abuse. And that was enacted in 74, and that's been through today. The other kind of person is a lay person, a family, a friend, a relative, a sibling, the guy that works up the street at the gas station or at the store. Those are called common lay people. They're not required by law to report it, but they do report it. The only thing is more common with those group to use it as revenge. Maybe your yard is encroaching your yard and you're really tired of the guy not doing anything. So you said, I'll call in that he is leaving a child run loose naked, unsupervised in his backyard. Well, the problem is the guy doesn't have a child and now he's going through all this emotion there. But that does retaliation. Now, my case was similar to that. My in-laws, my wife's mom and dad, and her three sisters, you should call them their aunts, and my wife's brother, my uncle. They're taking one turn at a time every week, starting in 2013 forward, alleging we're doing something wrong with our children. And that was all resulted. They've never liked us from the beginning. I've known them for 33 years. I've been married to my wife for 33 years. I was in my second marriage. They never supported us. They didn't come to the wedding or anything else. But they've always wanted our children. Because we have three well-behaved, beautiful children, very intelligent. But that's what you got to be careful for. Because lay people get right maybe 25% of the time right, 75% wrong. Professionals is 50-50. 50% right, 50% wrong. Now, as far as who is corrupt and who isn't, it's hard to tell. I used to say it's a 50-50 shot that you get someone good, and I still think it is. You don't know. But if you ask around how good the agency is, you may hear. And that way you'll know if it's that agency that is accusing you and they've had a bad reports out there, then you know that you got to be careful. But if you get an attorney, and I mean a good attorney, this attorney, by the way, was somebody I hired. His name is Vincent W. Davis. He works for me. We worked together fighting CPS. Anyway, when I hired him, he got my children back. Because why? He's trained and educated in dependency law, which is what child protection uses in their courts, dependency law. He has family law and juvenile law. There are things in family and juvenile that will help you too as a dependency lawyer. So he has over 40 years and he's gotten back thousands of children back to families. He's prevented children from being taken. And that is easily done because you don't know the laws. They have to be in imminent danger before they take your child. Now, if the child is screaming or yelling going on, and the social worker or the police outside, they have the right to break down the door. That's why when a knocking comes to the door, you be quiet. And hopefully you have some type of a monitor to see who's out there. Or you can use a peephole or the blinds. But you got to be careful. Because if you had a peephole or the blinds, that may be seen from the outside. And police are very trigger happy. Not all police. It's a 50-50 chance you're going to run into a crooked cop or a crooked social worker. I would say at least half of the social systems are corrupt. Now, questions are coming in the room. I need to address them. Hello, Sheena. I think you've been here before. Where are you located, Sheena? I need a city and a state, or if you're outside the United States, the country. Hello, Taurus. Welcome. I need the same thing, Taurus. Where are you from? Wow, I didn't know that. Well, glad to meet you, Pat. I'm glad you're my biggest fan. Have you been in here before? I've been doing this live stream now for 2.5 years. I've talked to over 2,600 people, and that really makes me feel good. Taurus, I need guidance. CPS took my 2 children, last one, and never filed a police report. To this day, CPS closed the case on my missing child, but has made it difficult in releasing my 10-year-old. All right, I read what you said, Taurus. Now, they never filed a police report. Well, first of all, CPS don't file police report. Police reports are done by police. And depending how the call came in, hopefully the call goes to 911, they'll have a record of it. Alleged behavior should go to 911. Call 911 and you say that you're a fireman and you just observed a child be beaten to death. That way there's a record of it. If you call the CPS, they may put it underneath the carpet, or the police may hide it away. You need a neutral party, and the best people to do that are 911. Now, that means you're going to tax the system every time in there, but it's important. The protection of our children is important. There's no question about that. And thank you for the 2 hearts. I don't know who did that. That's great. I love the 2 hearts. Now, Taurus, who says I'm her biggest fan, which makes me feel really great, said that CPS took her 2 children, but never filed a police report. Well, they don't have to file a police report. The police don't have to get involved with CPS. The reason why police are involved is that CPS wants to use them to intimidate you or get your child. But they're really supposed to protect the social worker from being attacked. A social worker the other day was just killed because he was stomped to death by a guy that had a lot of mental problems. You say CPS closed the case. What case did they close? Was it about your first child, your second child, or them together? So I think the one is 10%, is a 10-year-old held in CPS's custody. Now, I don't know how long they've held him, but what did they accuse you of? What was it, neglect or abuse or both? All right, Taurus, you're always here. Well, it's great. I'm glad you are here. And you're from Nevada. Any relationship to Christina? So she was lost by CPS. Well, you should have called 911 and say your child is missing. The last time you saw him in CPS custody. Now, was that the CPS social workers or was it foster care that you put in? So you got domestic violence. So you have domestic violence. So you were charged with abuse. And you have 1 case. All right. I know you're trying to type fast. It's all right. You can go slow. That's no problem. I still got a good 40 minutes left of the show. I go to 2 o'clock. It's only 1:25 here on the West Coast of California. Now we have Taurus Pat, who's in New York. What city are you in New York? Are you in New York City or Brooklyn? I have KK Richardson in Brooklyn. I have Rocky, who's in New York too. He was in this morning. That's right. You're in Las Vegas. I'm sorry, Taurus. I didn't mean to say New York. I'm sorry. You're in Las Vegas, Nevada. Are you anything related to Christina Reynoso? I'm really confused because I only know one person in Las Vegas, Nevada, and that's Christina Reynoso. You want your mother to attain guardianship, which is possible. There's a good book out called Guardianship, how grandparents can get guardianship of their child. And it's available. I think at one time with my code, I had a discount code. It was like a dollar for the book or something, $1.99. Oh, you don't know her? Okay. Well, Christina Reynosa is another woman from that same area in Las Vegas that's been with me for a long time. And I haven't seen her in a couple days, and that's why I was just wondering if you guys are using a different name. Sometimes people do. And it's a good thing your mother wants to gain guardianship. Yes, my phone number. Let me explain what is happening right now. First of all, I don't do private one-on-ones. You can call in when my show is live, and you can actually be on the show as a guest and talk live. There are two ways you can talk to me on the show. One, you can call in, or two, you can be a guest on my show. Now, I need two devices to work this show. One is my computer for my StreamYard, which is a software application I use for doing this live stream. The other one is my phone where I take the phone calls. But my phone won't do live stream with the StreamYard application, and you can hear me at all. And when I do go to the phone, it cuts me off the page. So it's best if you have a computer. It's best, well, you have to have a computer and a phone. That's what you should have. But I will help you here, Taurus. There's a good way we can. And if you've been my fan for a long time, you know that I do talk a lot about a lot of good things. Now, I don't understand. So you said one child was lost in the custody of CPS, and he never reported to missing persons that the child was lost? So right now, Taurus, I mean Torres, we'll have to do with the arrangements we have here. My computer part was supposed to come in last Thursday, then Friday. Now they tell me it's Monday. I had ordered that a long time ago, a couple weeks ago. And I wanted to go straightly to the owner of it, so I went to Asus. Because there are ones out there, but I'm not too sure about them, and universals won't work on my computer. It's too new. But without my AC adapter, I can't have any power to it. The battery can't charge, and I can't use the outlet in the wall for power. I know you have tons of evidence of drug testing being falsified and recordings admitting no one reporting my child when they are mandatory procedures. I believe you. I believe you. And we'll work on that. We'll work to get you to be a guest on my show. In fact, I need to put up if you want to be a guest on my show right now. To be a guest on my show, all you have to do is text or email your first and last name and your city and state, or if you're out of their country, and your phone number and email. Now, my phone number is 626-698-0990. You can text that number, but you really can't call it because I can't talk to you. My email is bobp@vincentwdavis.com. A lot of you chose to write me emails, and I've got you some work here. So I'll leave that up for a moment there so people can copy down the one that texts it. Okay? Now, your child that was missing in custody, were they physically with the CPS social workers or were they put in a group home? How did your child disappear? Yeah, it's on the screen, but I'll go real slow. 626-698-0990. Oh, 0990. You get that, Torres? And my email is bobp@vincentwdavis.com. Again, it's all written on the screen. It's right there below my chin. It's a stationary ticket. There's a tickler below it that's moving from right to left. And there it talks about that I'm not a real attorney. It's for educational purposes only. And if you want a real attorney, it's Vincent Davis. And he's located at 888 see here, 888-888-6582. And that's all you do to request that. That's all you have to do. Now, Taurus, your child was saved in heaven pending a placement. What is safe heaven? Save Heaven. Is that an agency or what is that? Never heard of it called Save Heaven. And now is she in foster care? And your other child, how old is your other child that's missing? Okay, I understand you're at work and you're limited, which is okay, which is okay. And again, thanks for the hearts. Looks like I got 2 hearts. That's nice. Okay, you say your missing child is 16, known to be a runaway and willingly turned herself in to be with her brother. So it makes no sense she ran away. Safe haven is where they place a child while they see foster care. I never know it. I never heard of it. So thank you for sharing that, Therese, Pat, or Pat Therese. I'll just call you Pat, all right? It's easier for me. I'll see your name is Pat. All right, we have Pat in the room. And you said that your 16-year-old child's not a runaway. So you have a 10-year-old and a 16-year-old, and you're allowed to keep your 16-year-old, but you couldn't keep your young 10-year-old. That's terrible. Okay, good. You text me. So I put my phone number up. You can't call in because if I answer the phone, it knocks me off SteamYard, and then I have a pause and I have to come back. Well, you're very welcome, Torres. And I don't think I do much. I try to give advice, is what I primarily do. And I've talked to various people too over the years. Well, it's my pleasure, Therese. Pat, I really appreciate you having me and all your support. That's sad about your missing child is considered a runaway by them. Was he legally? Was he being cared by the social worker? I mean, that how he's being taken care of, or actually he was taken care of by the pediatrician? Okay. Now we got more comments here. God bless, and please continue to strive for those whose voice, I can see it, who are voiceless, those innocent children. Who are voiceless, those innocent children. I am, Pat. I appreciate your support and talking to me. Now, I've been talking about CPS. I've told you about how it's reported, and I've also said there's a lot of bad entities out there. There's a lot of bad entities. Now, we're halfway through the show, and I've had some comments by Pat. And so far, I think it's been it. Let me see here. Anybody else besides Pat? Um, no, I don't see anything else. Oh, in the very beginning of the show, there was Sheena Lupez. Sheena Lupez. I haven't heard her. Pat is from Las Vegas, Nevada, and she has two children that are taken by CPS. And those two children, one of them actually is a runaway in CPS's hands. He's 16 now. I don't know how old the first one is. It said 10 years old. So were they 16 and 10 at the time they were taken, or was the runaway a little bit older? Is a 10-year older? So the I think it's a great idea for your mom to do guardianship. I think that's a really super idea. I do like all your encouragement now. Um, but let me go back to my 5 rules because I don't have anybody write me any questions or comments. No questions or comments. Now, if I have some comments or questions, it would go a lot better because after a while you get tired of hearing me talk about the same rules and the same thing and this and that. It gets boring. But right now, it looks like no one's in the show. They all left. I don't see Pat Torres there from Las Vegas, Nevada. And I don't see the very first person that was the beginning of my show, Sheena Lupas. I don't see her. She said disagreed. So, um, I had to pause there for a second, but I'm back. I'm back. It doesn't look like we have anybody in the room. They've all left. I keep getting knocked out of the room, and I'm back again. I'm back again. Now we have two emojis. We have hearts. That's great. I thank you very much for them. We've had Pat Torres talk for quite some time, and all of a sudden she stopped. She says she's one of my biggest fans. I appreciate knowing that. And then we've had Sheena Lopez, and she's been here too. Now, I did mention we need to talk about my 5 rules. We haven't talked about them in a while. Rule 1, and that's the most key part, is get a lawyer. You wouldn't do open heart surgery yourself, or you wouldn't have a mechanic um, or a bartender do you open heart surgery. You're going to get a real professional. Same goes true for CPS. You want a professional attorney trained in the areas of dependency law, family law, and juvenile law. And I have such a candidate. The guy who works for me, helped me with my case. His name is Vincent W. Davis. And I'd hired him to defend me. And together we're still fighting CPS through this live stream. He has a live stream, and other people have a live stream. And we're trying to get the word out and help out people that if you get caught in there, you got to be careful because not all CPS are good. Okay, I'm going to take that thing down because it's it's cumbersome there. Okay, so we're talking about my rule number 1: get an attorney. Now, this attorney that I have has over 40 years of fighting CPS. He is an excellent attorney. He also has further training besides dependency law and family law and juvenile law. He's also a criminal attorney. He can do trials. He's a trial attorney. He also is a civil attorney. He's filed numerous civil lawsuits where people have done wrong by CPS. After the case is over, he's glad to talk to you about if a social worker committed perjury or they're lying out there and they're letting the things. Anyway, it was hard. So I'm glad I got this attorney, Vincent Davis. Now, my first 6 months after my children were illegally taken and put into foster care illegally, they weren't in immediate danger, but they're put in foster care right away. And right away, my wife and I had to defend ourselves. It's weird. CPS is the only law that you're guilty till you're proven innocent. Now, I know it's Sunday afternoon and a lot of people got better things to do, but I'm here to help you. All you have to do is give me your name, your city and state. If you're outside the United States, your country, your city and country. Now, we're talking about my rules that would have helped you. And one of the first rules is get an attorney. I don't know how much I impressed you that you got to come up with financially. Some plans or so forth. Each one's different. Each lender is always different. Now, hopefully, we'll get some more people in so I don't have to keep talking about my rules or my case or some boring stuff there. Now, getting that attorney is going to be an easy process. You should at least find 5 attorneys. To find 5 attorneys, what you have to do is you have to have a right way to search the internet. There's a right way and a wrong way. Now, it's the placement of words that's so important. You need to put the city, the state, and the letters CPS. Or if you're out of the state, you put the city and the country and the letters CPS. If you want to further filter it, you can put another filter after CPS, like looking for a attorney, looking for cases in the area, how hard it's going to be to beat and stuff. That's one way you can find them. Um, um, with that attorney, with that email, the right format, right after the letter CPS, I want you to put in dependency law, family law, juvenile law, attorney. And that will pop up all these attorneys. All you need to do is pick 5. You're going to interview 3, but you're going to pick 5 in case one of the interviews falls through. So after you look at the website, you got to make a phone call to all 5 of those attorneys you found. And you got to ask them 2 questions. Question 1 is, are you schooled and licensed in dependency law, family law, and juvenile law? And have you won CPS cases? That's actually 2 part, but it's 1 question. The answer should be yes. Then the next question you're going to ask them, have you ever fought CPS after the case was over and won? That means when your CPS case is over, have you filed a civil lawsuit and beaten CPS? Again, that is important to have. Now, the second question you're going to ask them, if the case is over, have you ever filed a civil lawsuit and won that case against CPS? The answer is yes to question 1 and question 2. Then you got a candidate. And if all 5 answer those 2 questions, then you got 2 backups. Now you should at least try Vincent Davis as one of your candidates, and then the other 2 you can pick from the group of the candidates you have there. Um, so I'm telling you that after you talk to all 5, then is a hard decision because you have to set an in-person interview. It's very important you talk to these attorneys and you tell them what you're looking for. What you're looking for. And all it takes is 3 when you have the interview and you establish the chemistry between you and the attorney. Then after you've interviewed 3 of them and you feel pretty good, then you got to make a decision which one you want to hire. You have 2 backups if the first one you hire doesn't work out. And if one of those 3, if they don't work out and you've had that first call, then you got 2 further backs. Remember I told you look for 5? You just have to finish the phone conversations with them. But I don't know how much I can emphasize that getting an attorney is very important. Now, Mr. Davis can be reached at his office at 888-888-6582. That's his second website. His first website's listed as stan.store/attorney/VW VD BWD Davis. Yes. Okay. Right now we have about 5 minutes left. It's slowly approaching 2:00, and that's when my show ends. And we're only on rule number 1, get an attorney. But if you can imagine, if you didn't have an attorney, it's going to be bad. Now, some people like the court-appointed attorney. The court-appointed attorney is one that is not going to win your case. I've not met anyone that's born that back in time, except me, the dinosaur. Let's move on to rule number 2. Because I don't have much time here. Rule number 2 is notebook. And that's how you organize all your documents, A through Z. You want to put tabs in there if you have other areas like domestic violence class you took, or heavy drug class you took, or some other class you take. But anyway, it's very important you have at least a 6-inch thick notebook and you put all your documents there. So there's one place. You don't have to go for looking for a line of envelopes, or what if you put it on the 5 or put it. So in this notebook, you put dividers. And that's where you organize your court papers, your social service papers, your drug tests, your program completions, like domestic violence is a 52-week class. You have your drug tests that you have to take weekly or monthly or wherever you have to take them. Now, there's 2 other documents that should go along with your notebook. They're called a timeline incident log, which can be a book, a journal, or something like that. And you devote 3 sentences to each incident and skip between the incidents. They should be in chronological order, starting with the oldest at the top. And as you go along, you fill out the newest. Now, the time is log on the first line, you put there the date, the time, and where it's located, the phone number or the place the incident occurred. On that same first line, you put the people involved. And then the next line, the second line, you put down what the incident was about. And then on the third line, you put a summary of the incident. It's not completed, you leave it blank, come back later. And you skip a line or 2 and put the next incident. You want to do that for every incident, whether it's with the police, the school, the social worker, your children, whatever. Because you'll need that timeline incident to work with a lawyer who's trying to defend you. And so that incident log goes along with the notebook. Another one is a journal you should write to your kids. It's a journal of your feelings, what's going on from day to day. Your kids will love it at the end. You may not see the kids. I hate to say that, but there are cases like that. So that's rule number 2. Now, rule number 3 is one I've talked briefly on, is where you don't answer the door. You don't allow them in your house. You don't let them take your children. They're going to try to do all those. So long as you keep it closed and you tell your family and friends a special knock will open the door. So this journal to your kids, it'd be something they'll cherish. And you can put all your emotions and time on a day to day. Do about 15 minutes, nothing really long. There's an old TV show called Doogie Howser, MD, and he used to write a journal every night about his day. So it's kind of good we all do that. Now, rule number 3 I talked about is how to search the internet wrong, right? Most people are using Google Chrome or ChatGPT. But the main thing is you get on the internet right away and you want to find as much as you can about what they're doing and why they're doing it, that kind of thing. Um, no, I'm not ready to close down. We're getting close here. Now, going back to rule 3 about answering the door, letting you have your kids stuff, it's no, no, no to them. Long as you have a legal representation, you're fine. Now, you have to be careful of medical trafficking by social workers. They like to hang out at urgent care and overhear things, and they'll step in and intervene. And you don't want that to happen. Also, do the same thing up in urgent care and all the other stuff there. But I don't know. Well, anyway, it looks like you all are going there. Rule 4 is how to use the internet. Rule 5 is never give up on your children. Now, with that in mind, I'll be back here at 7 o'clock. 6 o'clock. I'm sorry, 6 p.m. My show times are 8, 1, and 6. And they're all given in Pacific Daylight Time. So there'll be a brief video after I sign off I'd like you to watch. But I want you to have a really great day. Don't give up. Don't be discouraged. Something good thing will come out of it in the end. There's a reason for everything. But anyway, it was a pleasure having you all. It's great to see you. My number one fan, Pat Torres, is in here, and she's from Las Vegas, Nevada. And then we had the other person that didn't really say too much, talked about the early part of the show, was Sheena Lopez, and I don't know where you're from. But anyway, there's a brief video. Watch it. Have a great afternoon. God bless you. And this is Bob Pace signing off.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted. And if you go against then it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce him. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the
last ones left. Put your